We're on the road.
All right. Namaste. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very good. Great to see you.
Been a while since I've seen you in Bali.
Been a while. You still
Yeah,
got the Bali shirt on, though. I see. That's good.
I was going to put the practice shirt, but that's too much.
Oh. So, oh, here we go. Thank you, my love. Thought I'd have a cup of coffee while I'm having a chat to you, like old times. And
I had mine first.
I thought also in honor of the Third Eye Cafe, which
Right.
is where I got the name of the news station from. I thought if it's good enough for a cafe, it's good enough for a news station.
All right. Yeah. Back memories from Pondicherry. That coffee shop.
Yeah, exactly. I remember you telling me one time that Dr. Swami Gitananda he got into a little bit of um, a passionate conversation with some news reporters once when they asked him whether he had a television. And he yelled at them and said, "I've got my own vision. What do I need a television for?" So I thought
Yeah.
I thought he'd be happy that we're doing this show and at least getting some good messages out there, some yogic messages into a world that's just so rife with disinformation and craziness.
Yeah. Craziness. Concept of ignorance, I guess. We don't know. So much we don't know, and that's the root of the problem.
Exactly. Exactly. Everything just spins from there, doesn't it? That's the original source point of all of this drama and all of this chaos. It's just that we don't see very well. We don't see clearly. Third eye is
Yeah.
not open.
If you go back to the sutras and the kleshas, it's the fact that we don't know, we have not seen reality, that we take all the illusion to be something serious and real and all tangled up in it. And I look at the present situation with the world disease syndrome and looking at if we knew how powerful the immune system was and how it works to go in and molecularly infiltrate a bacteria or a virus and just disassemble it. It's miraculous and amazing, but nobody knows this. How many
That's
years of schooling did you go through and you were never taught anything about this? You learn
too many.
everything about the finances and then the economy and history, but we don't know about ourselves. So there's the root of the problem. If you know your immune system is functioning and you feel that it's 100%, you're not going to be worried about some little invisible, little microscopic thing and worry about it coming and killing you, which is, I mean, I look at it as a state of fear. It's almost like superstition that
Hmm.
everybody believes in it, as they did in the days of Catholicism and superstition and devils and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting in Bali. They still they're personifying the virus like a demon. It's really cool, actually. It's whenever they do a billboard and they have COVID written on it, they have this sort of like green devil monster alongside it, which I just think is so accurate that it's an energy that we're dealing with, and it's the energy of fear. That's the problem. That's the real
Yeah,
pandemic. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, a virus is an invisible little thing. We have viruses that infect our computers, viruses that affect us, but we have to be open to these things, and our defense system has to be down. Otherwise, and the demon of fear is one of the worst, and that's why are they propagating the fear instead of looking at the 99% of the people who get a virus and overcome it the next day or 2 days later? It's like,
Yeah.
how's the media shifting everything over onto this negative side?
Yeah, why are they
Why?
doing that, David? Exactly. That's I mean everything that we've just touched on the last 5 minutes. I think that's the portal into this bigger conversation and more specific questions. But for you guys who don't know, David is the man that got me into yoga in the first place. So I'm just in deep appreciation, Dave, for you setting me on this path. I'd probably be flipping burgers or dealing drugs or worse,
Good job at
working the stock
McDonald's.
market or something, if it wasn't for your influence in my, back in
Well,
2006.
you chose the path. You came and studied. It's kind of hard to turn back once you get it. And go, okay, there's a purpose in all of this, and awakening and discovering and learning and becoming healthier and helping other people to do all these things. It all kind of makes a lot of sense compared to
Mm,
other opportunities that might be out
absolutely. And the other thing is that the other reason why I'm really excited about doing these conversations with you is because this last year it's been really surprising in terms of what's happened in the yoga community specifically, because that's where I spend most of my time, and just seeing how many people, and I'd say it's you know the majority are really buying into this narrative. I mean, even to the point of you log into Yoga Alliance, who's meant to be our pillar. This is where we all plug in Yoga Alliance, and up the top, the first thing you see is all of this propaganda about COVID-19. And so it's been, I don't want to say it's been disappointing. It's just been eye-opening the last 12 months, seeing which side of the fence people are on. Are they in the fear side, or are they in the truth side? And it's been really interesting and a little bit surprising. And so I'm really excited because I know what side of the line you're on, because we're on the same side. And it's been challenging finding senior inspiring yogis and yoginis to talk to about this stuff that haven't completely bought into the narrative. So I've got a zillion questions. I'm going to try and just take it down to 5 in this session, something like that. But I've got so many questions that I've wanted to ask someone like yourself over the last year, and just have been hitting brick walls. So I'm super excited to hear from you.
Yeah, good, cool. I got to say about, you mentioned Yoga Alliance. I've dropped out after 20 years. Just I realize they have taken yoga and reduced it into a fitness program,
Yeah.
and completely devoid of any spiritual content or evolution or even any of the mind stuff. Been
Yes.
deleted,
And you
and
know
yet
what? You know what,
yoga.
David? You cannot use the word healing in your.
Yeah, I know that.
You cannot
It
use.
used
I,
to
I
be
thought.
there on my. You remember I used to do the healing program, and it was part of the teachers training. The third month was a healing program, and they notified me and says you cannot use these words,
Yes.
and they'll be affiliated
Therapeutics,
with us.
healing.
Healing or therapy. I mean, it's like totally ridiculous, and yet yoga is the oldest healing system, the oldest healthcare system on the planet. But you
Wow.
can't say that it heals anything. So
It's in.
there's
It's in.
Yoga Alliance shooting itself in the foot.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
hope other
supporting
people.
yoga.
I hope other people are that courageous. I mean, when you told me that, because it's something that I've been considering, for the last, at least a year. But hearing that you, after 20 years, have made that decision, that gave me a lot of strength. And the practice will now be doing the same thing. We're going to follow suit, because I think uh, it's it's part of the problem. I think it's part of the problem of a bigger conversation, which I hope we can get into. And that's just, where is yoga headed, and why is it headed in the direction that it's headed? But
Yeah.
just, well
Well,
done. I really commend you about that decision. That's really awesome.
yeah, had to do it. uh, Too much. I haven't looked at what they're saying about the whole viral situation, but I understand. And, when I filled out the application for the 500-hour teachers trainings, I was trying to explain to them that I have so many hours of visual concentration and verbal concentration and mantra laya. And it's, oh yeah, that's all just part of meditation. Just put it in the meditation category. And then
Yeah.
let's get back to the anatomy. How many hours of anatomy do you do? And
Yeah,
not even physiology.
not even
Never
physiology,
mind,
just
never
bone.
mind how the glands and organs work. You just don't
Yeah,
know where your bones are. And
exactly.
I mean, 50 years of teaching this stuff, I've seen amazing recoveries and rejuvenation and people rolling back from diabetes and thyroid problems just by doing the right kind of exercises and breathing and changing the mindset a little bit.
Yeah.
And in Western medicine, which we'll probably speak more about because Western medicine, particularly the American Medical Association, like American Yoga Alliance, kind of gone global and they do not have the concept of rejuvenation. It's not part of medical education at all. Something goes wrong with your thyroid gland, you need chemicals from the pharmaceutical corporation, which we will sell you at a good price, but it's lifetime. You got to do this the rest of
Right.
your life. Everything has become the business thing, and natural healing is unknown, forbidden, not.
Yeah. So, Dave, that begs the question then: do you think we need a governing body, as in a more aligned yoga alliance, or do you feel that moving forward, what's going to serve yoga the best is not having a singular governing body, but just letting the merits of every yogi and every school sort of speak for themselves?
I think the merit would come from those of us who are practicing and know yoga, leading the good example. And
Mhm.
I've mentioned started the website called Yoga Union, which is just a union of people who really are practicing yoga, are experiencing it, and are bringing in the full spectrum of yoga, not teaching postures. That's just such a small part of it, and yet that's what people think yoga is. So again, I see it as just a union of people cooperating and sharing ideas, but no governing. I mean,
No government.
yeah. I mean, if you look at Yoga Alliance, I mean, some of the people have all these years, the people who are there in charge of this and PR, that, okay, I got a better job going to work for Citibank now. So it's like they're not practicing yoga. They're
No.
just a corporation governing yoga practice. And
And would
and after what they said about you can't say healing, you can't say therapy, they're under the thumb of that same medical association.
Yes. And what's really interesting, Dave, is if you look at some of the profiles of the execs in Yoga Alliance, they're ex-politicians.
Yeah,
they're,
okay.
they're straight from the
That
White
says
House.
it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay, so I love that. Yoga Union, is that something we can, is that active? Can we have a look at, can, if we go to the web, if we go to the
well,
internet, can we find Yoga Union?
I started the website a while ago and I haven't done much to it, but I mean, I have 700 people who graduated through my school here.
Yeah,
They're automatically members because they understand what yoga is. Okay, so
totally.
like you also,
Yeah.
you're in there already, and the idea is, yeah, this cooperation of yoga people who actually practice and are evolving and growing and learning about everything from mental concentration, higher states of consciousness. The purpose of yoga needs to be in there, and Yoga Alliance has never anywhere stated the purpose of yoga. It is.
Cool. Well, I would love to see, 2021 being the year that yogis reclaim their, their sovereignty as yogis and step away from this governing body that really doesn't do much for us other than take our money and tell us what we can and can't say about yoga.
Yeah, and who are they to say that? It's
Yeah, exactly.
not practicing. No, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like the insanity of the world, just like the fear of viruses, and just just on that little note, I mean, in Western medicine, they have studied the placebo effect. We watched some of those videos maybe
Yeah.
when you were around, and since then. So there's the placebo and there's the nocebo. The placebo is you believe something is going to heal you. Your belief is going to make it happen. Your own chemistry adapts to your belief system. So the nocebo is the opposite. Somebody tells you, I think you have cancer, and you believe it, you will have cancer.
Yes.
So when you're promoting fear internationally and globally, saying there's a virus out there that can kill people, well, everybody believes that. You've got a whole global community of billions of people who believe this is a very dangerous thing. And yet you talk to some doctors and virologists, people who study viruses, and they
Yeah.
say the best thing you can do with a virus is expose yourself to it and allow your immune system to come up with a counterbalance, which is an
Yeah.
antibody that will defeat the virus.
Yeah. It's like an
It happens
upgrade.
all the time, and it happens to 99% of the people who have this particular virus. So
Yeah.
what's the big deal?
What's the big deal?
But the fear thing is going to shut down your immune system. And if you believe it can kill you, then you've opened the door for that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of the most just disgusting aspects of the whole medical tradition that they have this habit of telling people how long they have to live. You know, it's like, because if
Yeah.
you bought into that system and you're looking to these doctors and specialists with trust, you're going to believe what they say. And then, like you said, you're going to create the reality that mirrors that belief.
Yeah. And if you get it to, I don't know, did I send you the book, Quantum Revelations?
No, I don't think so. I'll have to
Okay,
check
I'll
that out.
send it to you. It's about quantum physics.
Cool.
And it's really saying exactly what Samkhya philosophy says. Foundation of yoga is that there's consciousness, there is an intelligent consciousness, there's energy, and the energy comes in and out of molecular formations. And when you understand that, um, part of what they're saying in there is that the strongest influence to these subatomic particles is the observer. You
Right.
are the observer, and you are observing your body and observing how it's reacting. And the molecules are coming together to make your chemistry in a way according to your observations, to your expectations. And then, if you understand that and you think, oh, there's a virus out there that can kill me, your body will cooperate and allow that to happen. You've disabled your own immune system by believing in something microscopic and invisible that can come and kill you.
So what you're saying, Dave, is turn off the news. That's what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah. Oh, there we go. We need a good news channel where we just keep pumping out. There's so much nice information coming from scientific research, even in the medical association, but nobody hears about it.
Yes, for sure. Mm. So, Dave, I know you have because of all of the research that you have done, all of the study you have done, but also because of your time spent with your teacher, Dr. Swami Gitananda, who was a trained, I think, surgeon and medical doctor, as well as a very, very advanced yogi.
Yeah. You know
Is
what
that
else? He worked for the World Health Organization at some point, and he said it's after that he retired and went back to India to teach yoga.
Oh
So
my God.
this is ridiculous. You know, under the thumbs of the big pharma. It was back then. You're talking 50 years ago, and he saw all this at the time. He said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we got to change the course. We got to teach people to be healthy and da da da." And now I'm out here trying to teach people to be healthy, and Yoga Alliance says you can't say health, you can't say
Yeah.
health, you can't say healing, you can't say therapy. So what's left in yoga then? I mean, it's just a
Not
workout.
much. Yeah, exactly. So my my question is, and this goes back to a previous thing that I said around just being surprised around a lot of the messages that I saw getting put out by what I think are considered, even though I would disagree, but considered world authorities on yoga, the famous yogis, really pushing the mask mandate. Like I remember, yogis with millions and millions of followers, not that that means anything, saying things like, mask up, we have to beat this virus. And I mean, even if I didn't know what I knew about prana, about the immune system, about CO2, just intuitively, whenever I put a mask on, it feels unhealthy. It doesn't feel like that it could support my health in any way. So what I wanted to ask you was, what from a, and I'd consider you quite an expert on both the pranic dimension and the biological dimension. What is happening when we wear a mask pranically and physiologically as well?
And psychologically.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, yes,
I
exactly.
mean, just think of it. You put a mask on. Let's mask
Yes,
everybody. It's like telling people, everybody shut up now.
it really is. That's what it is. Yeah.
So it's psychologically inhibitive. And I mean, it stops you from breathing. It slows your breathing rate. It's like putting a resistor on the flow of air. So you're not going to be breathing as much.
Mm-hmm.
And scientifically, look at a mask, and you know that a virus is 1.2 micro microns in
Yeah.
diameter, and the fibers of the mask are huge by comparison. The spaces between them are large enough for viruses to go through by the hundreds, and nobody has analyzed that or thought about it. Nobody talks about these things. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make any sense,
Yeah.
but
That.
it does slow down the amount of air coming through. And then so you end up breathing a little bit less, which is going to suppress your immune system again. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're not getting that flow of air, what does this virus do? It creates inflammation in your lungs. So what you need to do is Masarga Bastrika, the complete deep
Every
breathing and
day.
powerful breathing, and there's no chance for a virus to infect your lungs. But we're going the opposite direction. They're promoting people to uh, go into fear and suppress the breathing apparatus itself, and everything is backwards. And again, as I said, there's several medical doctors and scientists who have spoken out against this is the wrong approach. And according to the statistics of all the numbers they've seen in the last year, it's going the wrong way. And the virus thing, trying to protect yourself from a virus by wearing a mask or anything else, or staying indoors and away from other people, is completely counterproductive to your immune system being functional.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, now we're getting into some interesting terrain, and this might be a little bit controversial, but I figure we're at the 11th hour, Dave. It's now or never. We just have to speak truthfully and just let the chips fall how they may. So I'm just going to ask. Um, we know there's an illuminati, right? We know there's this very small collection of people who are attempting to basically and have done a pretty good job of running the world. I think they're in a little bit of hot water right now. Is
I
my
think
belief.
they've done a bad job, but they are running the world.
Exactly. They've done a good job at doing a bad job. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, so they've clearly infiltrated the medical tradition, media, education. I would argue also music, moving away from that solfeggio tuning. And I know that's something that you know a lot about, the power of frequency. You do a lot of work
Yeah.
around that. Banking, the religion, obviously. So my big question is, with yoga being like a trillion-dollar industry these days, it's a mega industry, and that's really what these people are about. They're about power, and they're about
Yeah.
influence and money. So my question is, have these people infiltrated the yoga institution? Are we, and is that why yoga is moving in a way that is so far away from its original design? Is it just that is it an innocent misunderstanding of the tradition, or are we intentionally being guided away from the truth? What do you think?
Yeah, intentionally,
I think so too. Yeah.
not an accident. And um, there's Graham Hancock at some point who's did a TED talk which was banned about the war against consciousness and
Mm,
not wanting people to wake up, because if people are awake and self-governing and self-empowered, they don't need the leadership of the illuminati. Thing is to keep people in the system, to keep people obedient. And this is one of the mask things, you know.
yeah.
They can scan and see how many people are obedient and track that guy who's not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
It's a question of surveillance and keeping everyone in control and taking out the people who are disobedient.
Yeah.
Self-governing, self-empowerment. If your immune system is fully functional and you never get sick and you don't need doctors and hospitals and pharmaceutical corporations, they'd be unemployed.
Yeah.
It would cause an economic disaster because of the way the world is set up. It's based
Mm.
on disease and healthcare. Healthcare isn't really healthcare. Disease problems, you know,
Yeah. Mm.
fighting
Yeah.
disease rather than creating health. So yeah,
Absolutely.
and if we just go back to Yoga Alliance, they are taking people away from the purpose and the consciousness and the mind, the mental development and the higher states of consciousness. No, no, no. It's you know, it's a good workout. You got to do it
It-
safely.
it-
You got to do it well. Make sure you don't injure anyone, but don't wake people up.
yeah. Exactly. And it amazes me that people don't see that by focusing so much on the body, that they actually disallow themselves from transcending body consciousness, which is the whole point of yoga. It's really about the mind, and through the mind connecting in with that pure part of consciousness that we are, even beyond the mind. But if we're so obsessed with the body, then that is going to just be our reality, and it's going to be, we're just strengthening that identification, that over identification with the physical form.
Yeah, or get stuck in that reality, and it's counterproductive to what science has found. Again, I keep going back to quantum physics because I've been looking at that and studying it since the 60s, and the reality of what science has found out. Your body isn't physical. Your body is made of energy. So now we're talking about what is energy? Chakras. And this is what yoga has been stating. It's whirlpools of energy that then create the atomic and molecular structures that make our physical body. But on the inside, it's all energy and consciousness. But we're looking at the outside. Okay, what kind of a yoga outfit am I going to wear to the gym today? It's like it's, we've missed the point. And you know, I
Mhm.
mean, Swami Gitananda was pretty direct in this is yoga, this is what it is, this is the whole psychological side, this is the mind body medicine. Get into the experience far enough to feel these chakra energies and play with these forces and realize, whoa, you can really
Mhm.
like charging up your batteries. You know, every night you plug in your phone and charge it up. The
Yeah.
Laya Yoga Kriyas are precisely that, for plugging ourselves into the universal energy, which is everywhere,
And limitless.
totally limitless. It's
Yeah.
unlimited, free energy, and we have access to it. And instead of inventing technology to try and find more power, we simply need to empower ourselves. And the
100%.
whole thing with yogis and the legends in India of yogis with magical powers, you know, Babaji who's still walking around and whatnot. These are realities. In India, it's, yeah, sure, of course, why not? But in the Western world, no, no, it's not possible. But then you go, oh, Jesus was walking on water, but come, we can kind of accept that. So the magical side
Mm.
is a reality, and we have access to that, and that's part of what yoga brings us into this place of if you can feel your body as an energetic being, then there are no solid fixed problems, whether it's a tumor or something else, because at the energetic level you can dissolve it. Exactly what your immune system does to bugs, bacteria, and viruses.
Mm-hmm.
Dissolves them, breaks
Yeah.
their molecular structure apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I
when
mean, that requires such subtle sensitivity, pranic sensitivity, and I think what's happening is we're just being pushed so hard in the physical dimension of yoga that pranic sensitivity is getting completely eclipsed by nervous system overstimulation, and so all of the energy just rushes outwards instead of coming back inwards. And I know from my own exam, from my own experiences that. When I was with you in Thailand all those years, it was it wasn't about the dynamic asana. Asana was there as a small part, as a way to support and complement the internal stuff that we would then do afterwards. So it was just about getting some prana moving through the body, and then we turn inwards. And then, of course, I left Thailand. I left where you were at, and I got swept up in this whole vinyasa yoga world, and I lost that pranic sensitivity. And I have to say, they were the most destructive, unhealthy years of my life, because my nervous system was just so strung out from all of the constant dynamic heating actions that I was doing in my practice. And then eventually, finally, I came back to my senses again and started to slow things down. But I think that this push to just keep yoga in heated rooms, heated postures, tons of standing poses, forget about the seated stuff, just go, 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 turn the music on, more stimulation. It's just, it doesn't lend itself to the subtle sensitivity required to really go into the healing aspect or the meditative aspect that is at the heart of yoga in the first place.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole concept of hot yoga, for instance. I mean, I did one class in Canada when I was there. There was 40 people in one room, windows closed, the heat up,
Oh my
40
God.
people breathing the same air for an hour
Yes.
and a half. There was no oxygen intake.
No.
And I felt my heart was racing and just, whoa, I had to get out of there.
Yeah.
And some people, that feeling of something's happening is
Mm.
okay, I'm having an experience. But while you're maybe the heat is allowing you to be more flexible, all of your internal organs are suffocating and degenerating. If you do this for 10 years, you're going to have problems.
Mm.
So internal glandular uh, problems in your life support system. Maybe you'll be flexible, but your liver is going to crumble.
Exactly. Do you want to be flexible or do you want to be free? That's the question.
Yeah, and this is the thing: is people don't understand basic physiology of why are we breathing? Why are 40 people breathing the same air in a room? Well, the purpose of breathing is to get oxygen. So here we are out in the jungle, breathing air all the time that's refreshed by the trees who take the carbon dioxide, give us back the oxygen, and life goes on, in this symbiotic relationship with nature. And that's the other thing. We've distanced ourselves from nature. And the reason I'm in Thailand is because I learned in South India with Swami Gitananda, and everything was outdoors. So you're outside all the time doing all these practices. And I found even teaching it in Canada, I mean, when it gets cold, you got to close things down. That it doesn't really work anymore.
Mm.
And just the breathing needs to have that connection with fresh air and prana. And on the prana note, Yoga Alliance never mentions prana. It doesn't even talk about pranayama. Just oh, that's just something on the side issue. But what is prana? Well, we have nothing to do with that. That's it's a mystical, magical thing. We can't even prove that it exists.
And don't even dare say the K word, Kundalini. That's off limits.
Yeah.
Cool. That's I mean, that's exciting that you're doing that. I'm definitely gonna join you in that crusade. Which brings me to another question, and I think making tough decisions, well, not tough decisions, but firm decisions like you have made with Yoga Alliance. I think that is a way that we can kind of quote unquote fight back. You know, sometimes when we read things like the Bhagavad Gita on the periphery, it's on a battlefield, so people could easily be mistaken to think, well, it's an encouragement to actually go and do violence, where really that's not what the text is saying. It's not saying you know, to go out and hurt people and kill people. It's really an externalized vision of the battle that we all have to go through internally to have the
Yeah, yeah.
courage to stand up and do what is right, what we know in our heart is right, regardless of the consequences.
The real battlefield is in your mind.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's what Arjuna is faced with when he sees over on the opposite side of where the enemies are. There's my uncles and my forefathers and all these people I know. This
Yes.
represents everything that we have learned from people, which may be all mistakes. And this is our education and conditioning has been really filled with mistakes and bad ideas. And look at the whole situation with the virus these days.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, because we've been fed with the possibility of we are weak humans who need help to be healthy. We need chemicals and pharmaceuticals. It's totally disempowering as a belief system. So we need to clean our mind from these concepts. And this is the mind battlefield where you slay these demons in your own mind, all the bad ideas and the possibilities of this disease or that disease. It's all um, it's all in the belief system, and it's all in our education. We have been taught from childhood on to be disempowered humans, vulnerable to any kind of disease, and they have 60,000 known diseases that they can lay, point the finger at. I think you've got this or that and the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
In yoga, there's either disease or health. Dis-ease is not being at ease. Either you're healthy or you're diseased. If you're diseased, you can have any of them, or you can just be healthy. And the way I see it, and the way I experience it, when you're dealing with energy, prana, power, and lighting up the chakras,
Mm-hmm.
disease is like darkness. Western medicine is trying to kill the darkness by going in and stabbing it with chemicals.
You're
And the
right.
yoga just turns the light on. Says, what darkness?
Exactly. It's much more efficient.
Yeah, totally. And there's no, you don't have to be specific. Just light up everything, and everything, all the disease gets eliminated. And the beauty of the autoimmune system is it eliminates anything in you that shouldn't be there if it's functioning. If
Yeah.
it's functioning, and for most people, it's been shut down.
Yeah.
And again, I go back to a story I told in the TTC.
Yeah.
The American Medical Association did a study in 1976 studying the effects of sugar. And
Mm.
they found that there's enough sugar in one bottle of pop to suppress your immune system by 40%. Now, if you have a bigger bottle or a chocolate bar and a bottle of pop, your immune system goes down 80%, which means you have a 20% chance of fighting off any kind of bacteria, virus, or whatever's in the environment.
Yeah.
And most people are living at that level of 20% efficiency and not knowing why or how does this happen or feeling like they're victims and vulnerable. And it's, again,
Yeah.
ignorance. We don't know how the machine works. We need
Exactly.
oxygen, we don't need sugar.
Exactly, and because of that interweaving between the koshas, between the layers of our being, if the body is operating at 20% health or 10% health, then of course that's going to have an impact on the pranic body and ultimately on the mental body. And we come full circle to that idea. Well, ignorance is really the core of all of this chaos that's going on. And then if we back engineer that, it's like just keep your body healthy. You know, that is the ultimate wealth, that is the ultimate treasure. It's to
Yeah,
be vibrant and vital, because that will inform all of those other dimensions of our being and literally allow that higher perception to switch on.
Yeah, which is why the the first limbs of yoga have to do with deal with the body and make it fit and healthy so that when you're sitting there going into a higher state, you don't suddenly have an ache in your side or sore feet or your knees are bad or whatever. So you tune up the machine, the vehicle, as it's called in yoga and in India. It's a
Mm-hmm.
vehicle. It's not just it's a temple on wheels or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's our vehicle. We go around the world, and if it's in good shape, hey, everything's cool, and your mind can be much more functional if it's not distracted. And your prana, if there is a problem in your body, you have a lot of prana going trying to heal the problem all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take care of the problem, then you can use that prana to come to a higher state of consciousness, to evolve your mind to become more conscious, more aware, more
Mm-hmm.
capable.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
got to say that, having studied with Swami Gitananda and learned about health when I was 22, 50 years later, I don't have any health problems, and I'm really happy to have a body that is still 100% functional with no disturbances. It's just whatever I want to do, I do it. I go climb trees with the monkeys or whatever. It's fun. And when you keep your body in this good physical condition, you're like a child who loves running and playing, and everything is enjoyable again. And you have to have that stage before you can sit in a state of meditation and then bring the prana up to expand the mind, to develop mental abilities, to work with boosting the healing forces if it's necessary, or to be teaching people how to heal, teaching people how to improve their life. That also takes a flow of prana, which
Mm-hmm.
you need to have. And then I go back to morning and evening, you plug in and you recharge, you plug back into the universe and fill up with that cosmic force. Do you know that in quantum physics,
Mm-hmm.
they talk about a reality of all this electromagnetic energy that's coming in from the universe? In every cubic centimeter of space, there's enough of these electromagnetic waves to empower your whole house and vehicle and whatever in every cubic centimeter. And
I
this is the
believe it.
reality. It's invisible. We can't see this energy, but it's there. They can use scientific instruments and measure it and say, wow, there's a lot of power. They're trying to figure out how to access it, technology. And yoga says, well, you just access it directly because
Exactly.
in the quantum world, the observer is what's directing the whole scene. And if you are in the seat of the director, which brings us back to the sixth chakra, ajna, the
Mm-hmm.
command center, you're
Mm-hmm.
directing this energy, you're charging it up, you can do this, manifest that. And this is the reality that yoga brings us to.
Yeah, absolutely. I always use you as an example, Dave, when running trainings and things, and talking about this relationship between going up in years. It doesn't. It's there's no there's not necessarily a parallel between going up in years and the body aging. That if you understand the reality of prana, and I always say, and if you want to test that model out, then I challenge you to ask David for a dance off, and I promise you, he will outdance you. He will be the one dancing at 7 a.m. in the morning. Still, and how old are you, David? Like 72, something like that?
Yeah, 72. And
72.
my dancing record is 14 hours nonstop.
So I always say, don't be limited in the way that you think. Don't tap into this. I'm getting older. I can't do
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I can't do that. It's like it's not
But
about the number. It's about the prana.
yeah. So there you go. That's your belief system too. You know?
Exactly.
And there's the prana and there's the oxygen. Of course, they're usually tangled up together, and in the cities, you're missing the prana and missing most of the oxygen. But I go back to a study I read back in the Psychology Today magazine back in the 80s. of a study they did with, I think they quoted 100,000 old folks in America.
Hmm.
Again, this was funded by American Medical Association. Nobody knows it. So they found that as people grow older, they breathe less and less, and the less they breathe, the faster they grow old. Now, at the end of this report, stating a bunch of other little details about it, the last paragraph says we could not determine whether the aging caused the slower breathing or the slower breathing caused the aging. So I looked at that, said, okay, these two are entangled. So then if you understand yoga and oxygen and prana and you breathe more deeply, you're going to retard that aging process. And I'm
Absolutely.
still on the bandwagon. I'm still working to prove this for however long it takes because I still feel like I'm 25.
Exactly.
When am I going to start feeling like an old man? So,
Never.
yoga,
Yeah.
yoga, flexibility, circulation of all the body fluids, and bringing in prana to the nervous system, oxygen to the body. That's what is needed. It's that simple, but you have to do it.
You have to do it. Exactly.
Nobody can breathe for you.
Nope. No magic pill. It's just you got to do it. So back to previous question in terms of this idea of sort of fighting back, and we are in a time where uh, censorship is at an all-time high. You know, it's really interesting in Indonesia. There is no free speech here. They call it like you have moderate free speech. That's how the way that they kind of term it. But there was a rock and roller here. I can't remember his name. He's like a famous rock and roller here, and he started to speak out about masks and COVID and the fraudulent COVID tests, and they threw him in jail just for speaking out about his opinion. So we're living in very, very interesting times where there's a lot of tyranny, there's a lot of oppression, there's a lot of censorship. And my question is, do we just take it, or do we need to in some way revolt? Is a mental revolution the only way, as in meditate, connect with the source, charge ourselves up? Is that the revolution, or are there actual physical steps required in the world? And do those external actions depend upon our dharmic calibration? As in, are there some people more calibrated to go out there and physically make a stand based on what we would call Yantra Yoga and people's Dharma Marga and their dominant chakra influences? What would you say to that?
Yeah, definitely. It takes both. I think beginning with yourself and really practicing everything you know and can with yoga, and then you will intuitively feel what else you can do. There's creating a mindset of everything is cool. I am immune. I am evolving. I'm in a good space. I'm in joyfulness and happiness. And if you stay tuned with that, you're going to be influencing people around you.
Yeah,
But there's also the, hey, speaking it out.
yeah,
I can't just sit here and shut up and pretend there's nothing going on. I'm, um, as Joanna says, politically aware as well. You can't, I'm not a yogi sitting in the cave in the Himalayas. I'm living in the world. I'm living in a foreign country. I have visas to deal with and all this other things. So I'm politically entangled and vulnerable to what's going on. So if I see what's going on is a lot of corruption,
mm-hmm.
um, I will tell people.
Good.
And if
I
they take
appreciate
the
that.
last video I put up on YouTube, they took it down in within minutes.
Yeah,
So just confronting the billionaire people, I got the three B's who want to control the world. It has to do with Billy Boy and the
really.
billionaire buddies.
Yeah, exactly.
We
That's
got the money, we own the world. Hey, wait a minute. What about the people? Just because you're the 1% and you've got all the trillions of dollars, the people who have no money, what's the money game anyway? Where does this come from?
mm-hmm.
Always It hasn't always been here. Now, people used to live in nature and build their houses and grow their food and be connected. Now you can't do any of that. Everything is money. You have to buy everything. You have to buy your house. You have to buy your food.
Yeah.
No one even remembers where all this comes from.
Yeah. And then everything is taxed, which is another complete lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I appreciate that you're speaking out, Dave, and that you have that level of valiance to you and backbone to you, because I think so many in the yoga community are just more concerned with maintaining their followers and playing it safe and tiptoeing around and just trying to promote this pseudo unity message, where I feel that what is needed now is courageous people, as you said, making first the inner connection so that we know that when we do come out with what we're saying or what we're doing, it's from a place that's aligned to truth, but not having the having the courage to do that, not being afraid to speak up, to speak our truth. So I'm grateful that you are setting that example for the next generation of yogis.
Yeah. Got to be done. It's the reality of what I live in and what I feel. And again, for me, I don't have to do anything to stimulate my health. I've done it all my life. So I'm in this place of, hey, my immune system is fully functional, peak efficiency, 100%. I'm not. You want to threaten me with a virus? Are you just joking?
Yeah.
Can't even take these people seriously. But most people who don't know, because of the ignorance, because of not knowing, the authorities say that this thing is deadly. I mean, we need to learn about ourselves, about our capability as empowered human beings. And we need to start now with the immune system because that's what's being attacked. And the reason they're succeeding with the attack is because people don't know.
Yeah. So, Dave, what do you think about that question I asked regarding Yantra Yoga and the Dharma Marga? For you guys who don't know, Dave is uh, uh, one of the only people in the world who is teaching this very, very old system, this sub branch of Tantra called Yantra Yoga, which is a way of looking at time, the way energy moves through time, but also the way that energy moves through us as we move through time. And one of the foundational components of Yantra Yoga is that we are all born into a given lifetime with a dominant chakra called the Dharma Marga, which is one of 9 frequencies, and then secondary chakras which support us in 27-year chunks. I think of these like the captain and the general, like they go together. It's these two dynamic forces that charge us forward into life. And my question is, let's talk about Manipura chakra, for example. Someone who is born with the Manipura power, asking
Yeah,
for a
that's
friend, of course.
definitely the warrior. Yeah.
But is it more appropriate for them to actually go out into the world, into the physical world, and maybe make a little bit more of a fuss and rip down a few billboards and kind of just, or is that just my Manipura chakra just wanting to maybe just burst out and
Well, that's the nature of Manipura is the rebel. If something isn't right, just do something about it. Don't just sit there and say, "Oh, go ahead, slap me in the other cheek." It's like there's a limit to that. At some point, you got to stand up for humanity and look at what's happening to all of humanity's being subjugated and people are being isolated. Old folks are dying by themselves in their isolated rooms. It's like it doesn't make any sense to be doing this. So go against it. And if you're in the 5th chakra, then speak against it, voice it out, and
Yep.
they'll find other ways. Like I said, they knocked me off YouTube within minutes of putting up my last video. It's okay. I'll go to DTube. or
There's more
BitChute
tubes.
or something else. There's alternatives, YouTube and Facebook, and it's all owned and operated by the same central 3B conglomeration who want to control the world and censor everyone and stop people from communicating, stop people from communicating or touching or all of these things, stop human behavior, and you know, let's become like our phones, texting messages and always checking and believing whatever comes up on the screen.
Okay, so all of
So,
you three
so for
chakra
threes
dominant
and
people out there, you heard what David said.
yeah. Anyway, the active numbers, the ones, the threes, the fives,
Mhm.
maybe some of the sevens, speak out and do something. And if you're more meditative, just observe and carry on with communication at a different level.
Yeah.
Feel it out and go in and feel your dharmic nature.
Mm.
Again, if you don't know what that is, you can ask Octavio or ask me, or we got Yantra Yoga online at
Yep.
chakrayoga.com. Learn more about it. It's a reality of the system of understanding yourself, your potential, what you were born with, what you can do with the energy you have, and what you can do with that with time, because timing is another important aspect of it. Doing the right thing at the right time is cool.
Yeah.
Right thing at the wrong time can be backfire on you. So understanding the calendar system that comes with Yantra and understanding the nature of your own energies and working with that in an empowered and intelligent way that's not based on ignorance and I don't know.
Yeah.
So find your path, figure
Yeah.
it out. Why are you here? Why are we here at this time when there's this whole upheaval in civilization? And on that note, just mentioning some of the ancient calendars as well as the Yantra calendar, talking about in this age, there's a shift.
Yeah.
In the Mayans put it, we go from Homo sapiens to Homo luminous,
Yeah.
which means we are made of light. And what science has discovered is that we are made of actually electromagnetic energy. So we just need to make that what they call a quantum leap. Step into your energy, go
Mm-hmm.
into the chakras,
Mm-hmm.
feel the forces of these energies, and go from that power to feel what's the next appropriate thing to do on your path and in your life and for humanity. Hey, humanity's sinking. We gotta pick it up, wake up.
Yeah. Because of all of these great cultures, I know you've spent time actually with the Mayan people, living with them, and also with the yogis in India. So you're very, very aware of what they say about this cycle of time that we are now transitioning out of, in this new luminous phase um, that we're moving into, which is what gives me a lot of hope, because it seems like on the periphery there's so much heaviness and so much control, but that deeper part of me knows that everything is going to be perfect, that we cannot not move into the light, because that is just the universal flow, and that's what's going to happen. So I have full trust that that is going to happen, despite what's going on the periphery, what's going on the nightly news, and what's going on with this pandemic and all of that. So I feel very, very, um, I wouldn't say 100% relaxed, because there's still a little bit of me that wants to kind of push against it, but I feel very confident in where humanity is going collectively. However, I don't think that we should rest on our laurels and do nothing. So my question for you, and we're coming up on an hour, so maybe we can kind of leave it on this one, is what advice would you give to people, like, for the next, let's say, I don't know, let's make it really simple, for the next month or so, as a lot of things are happening globally and a lot of transition is happening, what advice would you give to people to keep themselves aligned to their truth, and to live in a way that allows them to connect into this deeper cycle, this deeper transition that's coming?
Whoa, I think it comes back to taking your practice seriously, and I don't mean the asana practice, but the breathing is the inspiration. Okay,
Yeah.
the word inspiration means to breathe in.
Hmm.
So take some time away from the media, sit under a tree, sit in nature, and just feel the connection and feel the universal unfolding of whatever's going on. You know, and in my lifetime, I've seen yoga was completely unknown when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And since then, I've seen millions of people take to it. And here in Bali, I'm in Thailand, and now there's yoga all over the place. But it's only the surface of yoga, it's only the asanas mostly.
Yeah.
But those people are capable of waking up. Just throw the breath at them, add the breathing to your practice, and sit in nature in a quiet place away from the media and ask yourself what's happening. We are evolving.
Yeah.
Humanity is evolving into the next phase. And as I said, millions of people have taken into the yogic and Buddhism and Eastern philosophy, and science has come up with all this new information about the quantum realities. Meanwhile, the old folks who are ruling the banks and the politics are
Hmm.
trying to keep the system as it was. And that's not a possibility.
No,
They are doomed to fail.
exactly. That's what I feel.
So we can help them to fail just by doing whatever feels right, seems right. Wake up people, get everyone breathing. Simple enough.
Yeah.
Breathe your way out of it. And the whole COVID situation is hey, it stops you from breathing. Okay? Don't let anybody or anything stop you from breathing. And fear will take your breath away. So
Yeah.
blow it out.
Love it. All right, that's a that's amazing, Dave. Thank you so much for all of your amazing insights. And as I said, I think this is something that we're going to do ongoingly.
Yeah.
So let's
Ongoing, it's ongoing education, and people need to know. And you can just check back in with us and get inspired as often as you want. There's a lot that can be done, and it begins by doing it within yourself. Build up your immune system so you're completely immune, and show that to people, and then
yeah,
you can't be threatened by all this disease thing.
love it. Cool.
Okay, shall we
Thank
sign
you
off
so
for
much,
now
Dave.
and see you guys later? Namaste. Thank you all for listening, and keep breathing and stay empowered. Connect to the source. The universe is way more powerful than the local politicians on this little planet.
Awesome, love it. Thanks all you guys for joining, and again, thanks Dave for all of your amazing insights. And we'll catch up in a couple of weeks.
All right.
All right,
Take
cool.
care. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.